birthday. And the last little section, last couple of page or two, was the speculation that the next phase in human flight might be into space. And they depicted a rocket on the pad, and they showed men on acceleration couches. The other book was a child's book of stars, which I still have. I think its author is Cy Barlow, but I'd have to check on that. And in that book, I learned that the moon is Earth's nearest neighbor in space. And I thought, I'd like to go there. The place I'd like to go? A means of getting there. Bam! I was interested. On top of that, I was at the same period of time reading some of the things that Werner von Braun was putting in Collier's magazine with illustrations by Chesley Bonestell, and also some of the books that he and Bonestell put together. And I was reading other. I was a Cub Scout and therefore took Boys Life magazine. In Boys Life magazine, they had a comic section in the middle, and one of the comics was Space Conquerors. And so I began to get more and more interested very quickly at that point.
Okay. Heard you used to read Flash Gordon comic strips, so I have to ask, things like Cinema, the movie that came out in '80, the last TV show, do you think they hold a candle to what you read as a kid?
Well, I've actually seen the old Flash Gordon movies, the black and white ones with Buster Crabbe as Flash Gordon, and they're quite entertaining. The 1980s movie I enjoyed tremendously. I didn't think it was quite the same caliber, but it was an awful lot of fun. It was fairly well done. The new TV series, I tried watching it a couple of times and I couldn't get into it because it seemed to have nothing to do with the original Flash Gordon. The only things in common
I know that feeling, that's why I didn't watch it either.
The only things they seemed to have in common were the names. And I'm sorry, that's the same reason I couldn't get into the new version of Battlestar Galactica. Nothing seemed to be the same except the title of the series. And I'm sorry, I don't like people going back and just trashing somebody else's original idea. That's, to me, like painting mustaches on the Mona Lisa. Any fool can do it, but it's not great art.
I see, when you do a remake, you have to be respectful of the original content.
Yes. Respectful plus, try to do a good job of it. There's good jobs and there's bad jobs.
I write a Buck Rogers series. I try my best, about that. Mm-hmm. Is there anything else you'd like to comment for the camera?
Oh, I just enjoy space flight. It's a great adventure. Just waiting for us as soon as we just work up the nerve, both in courage and in terms of budget. I rate a civilization's worth to live in by the adventures that are possible within it. That's why this is perhaps one of the greatest times to be alive in history, if we can make the best of it.
Thank you so much for that.
Hello, my name is Brandon Phillips, and I am the talking mouth, or the BMIC, of the OEGP.
Any relation to Julia Phillips?
Not that I know directly. I'd have to know part of the side of the family, and I could probably bro it down, but there's a chance.
Okay. Out of curiosity, what movie released in the 80s got you interested in making short films?
Honestly enough, that would be The Evil Dead, directed by Sam Raimi, released in the early 80s.
And working on a non-Hollywood budget, how easy is it to produce FX for your films?
Depends on the quality of the effect that you're going for and pretty much the amount that you want to spend on it, but essentially depends on, again, what you want, but the overall fairly easy. From a gaping wound can be done mostly stuff that's at your house. Then you can go to like a party shop and buy some latex and some other odds and ends and really make some horrific stuff for a couple bucks.
Okay, and what is Oh, sorry.
It's quite all right.
What is the average budget of one of your productions?
Well, the budget price pretty much wavers by who is the highest breadwinner of the week. We kind of pull in. But the highest we have spent totally on a budget is about $1,000, $1,500 along those lines. But the average that we spend on most of our weekend shoots or what have you, factoring in lunches, is usually about $150 to $200.
That's pretty nice.
Yes. It keeps
thank
the
you for
cost
sharing.
down. Thank you.
Okay. What do you?
Explain how you make your masterpieces.
All right. Well, it's a technique called digital painting. You do it using an image editing program like Photoshop. There are free programs like a GIMP, that's GIMP. Usually you need something like a tablet, like from Wacom or one of its analogs, but you don't always. I just started out doing it with the rollerball mouse, and it actually worked out sort of okay. It would have helped if I knew what I was doing at the time, but I know when I started doing it, I would start by getting like a photograph or a poser render for the basic skin tone and maybe some of the colors. And the results weren't always what I wanted, but they worked out for what they were at the time. A lot of the earlier works that I have on my website were done using a poser render as the basic reference, and then extra colors to balance things out.
Could you share that web address?
Which one?
Where to find it online?
Actually, a lot of the my address.
Yeah,
it's Christ Writer, ChristWriter.deviantart.com. So it's not the most professional place to have your portfolio.
Actually, I post there. I post there too. So
yes, it's I know half the time I spend on there is spent promoting myself and my art, and the other half is spent looking for the latest drama with which to point and stare. It keeps me from going insane. Well, I get to live through someone else's insanity vicariously. It works.
Interesting description of the site.
Yeah.
Anything further you'd like to say?
Just mostly for if you want to learn how to do it, you just have to do it. I grew up thinking I could not draw. I did not start trying to learn how to draw and working at art till I was about 18, and I just decided I was going to do it or die trying. So yeah, it's okay to suck when you're starting out, because I did, and I knew it. And use whatever resources you can find to learn.
Well, what you have in the art room is a major contrast to sucking, and I'm going to photograph that later with your permission.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Great.
And that's the difference between working at it and giving up. My mom always. Growing up, my mom always told me an amateur is a professional is an amateur that never quit. And to fix what I almost screwed up, an amateur would be the professional that gave up halfway through.
Great words.
You just got to start trying, and maybe you'll get there, maybe you won't, but you just got to do it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.